Letting property. Introduction to the module. In this module, you will learn about the role of a letting agent and the processes they follow. At the end of the module, there is an assessment. The topics to be covered in this module are a brief history of letting and renting in Britain, the role of a letting agent, the letting process, registering landlord, property and applicant details, property valuations and appraisals, consents to let the property, information to record, photographs, service agreements, verifying ownership of the property, registering potential applicants' details, viewings, processing applications, tenant application forms, vetting prospective tenants, guarantors, communications with the landlord and applicants. A brief history of letting and renting in Britain. Britain has a long history of letting and renting, going back to at least Roman times. In the early 1900s, around 90% of the population rented their accommodation. The trend decreased with the implementation of the Rent Act in 1915. Rentals became less profitable for landlords, and the Act gave more security to tenants. The downward trend continued until the 1990s, when the effects of the Housing Act of 1988 started to kick in. The Act made life easier for landlords while still sufficiently protecting the tenants. Buy-to-let mortgages launched in the 1990s. That, coupled with rising house prices, made investment properties very attractive to landlords. There are several trends that have kept the demand for renting high. First-time buyers have not been able to save the deposits needed to buy their own home. Immigration, a workforce that changes careers and wants more flexibility. The number of divorces. The role of a letting agent. A letting agent manages the relationship and interaction between landlords and tenants. Landlords often prefer to go through an agent for the following reasons. To save time. The agent collects rents and may handle repairs. To benefit from the marketing facilities. Legal knowledge. Credit checking services. Letting agents offer different services, but typically offer guidance for compliance with regulation, marketing, showing the property, guidance on the rent, tenant credit and reference checking, listing the inventory and checking it, documentation, rent collection, repairs, checks during and at the end of the tenancy. The letting agent's services are typically three options. Number 1, let only, finding tenants. Number 2, let plus rent collection, finding tenants and collecting rents. Number 3, full management. The full services listed previously. Fully managed properties provide the agent with a stable monthly income, with rents generally collected monthly in advance. The agent takes a fee before passing the money to the landlord. The letting process. In this section, we will cover the critical stages of the letting process, from registering the details of interested landlords and applicants, to valuations, legal considerations, agreements, viewings, and processing applications. Registering landlord, property, and applicant details. Prospective landlords will call your agency. Ensure you have a template ready to collect their details. The template should include personal details, name, contact number, email address, home address, rental details, address, type of building, number and type of rooms, garden details, parking arrangements. Landlords will ask for guidance on a range of topics such as which properties to buy for investment, what inventory to include with the rental, your agency's fees and packages, an indication of the rent they can charge. Keep a record of information requests and ensure someone follows up with the prospective landlord. Property valuations and appraisals. Often the first time you meet with a landlord is during a property appraisal. Create a good impression by preparing well. Ensure you are familiar with the property, the area, and prepare for the questions you will be asked. Be ready to provide details on your agency and fees. An estimate for the rental potential. Look at the rents achieved by similar properties in the area using a tool such as rightmove.co.uk. Guidance on whether to furnish the property. A description of the likely tenant. A view of the market and how quickly the landlord can expect it to rent out. You should also ensure the landlord is aware of the following. They must inform their mortgage provider and ask for permission to rent the property. They must declare the property is a rental to their insurance and have specific rental insurance in place. The Landlord and Tenant Act 1985 outlines their responsibilities to repair the property. They must follow gas, electrical, and fire safety regulations. The property must have an energy performance certificate. They should request a deposit that protects them in the event of damage to the property. Discuss this information with the landlord and give them a pack with all the key information. Consents to let the property. Landlords must inform their mortgage companies and insurers that they wish to let the property. If the landlord has a buy-to-let mortgage, there should not be additional requirements. With a residential mortgage, the lender may charge a fee to provide a consent to let letter. They may stipulate criteria for the landlord to meet, including they must see the rental agreement. Certain groups cannot be tenants, for example, students. Specific wordings to include in the agreement. Allowing only an assured short-hold tenancy. Keep the consent to let letter or proof of the buy-to-let mortgage on file. The landlord's insurance may be invalid if they do not inform the insurance company that the property is a rental. Buildings insurance needs to be in place, and the landlord may pay a higher premium as rentals are considered a higher risk. Information to record. Once you have an agreement to list the rental property, you need to record the property's details, including rooms sizes. For speed, use a laser measure. Sketch out the floor plan. Furnishings and inventory. If all appliances are in working order. Amount of storage space. Parking facilities. Type of heating. Type of TV connection. Phone and TV plug points. You should also find out the following from the landlord. Preferred type of tenant or stipulations from the mortgage provider. For example, working professionals with no pets who do not smoke. Council tax band. Garbage days. Utility supplier. Broadband availability. Satellite dish availability, if not visible. Photographs. Photographs create the initial impression of a property and are critical for attracting tenants. Here are some tips for getting great pictures. Ask the landlord to tidy the property. Visit on a sunny day with good light if possible. Ensure the sun is behind you and open any curtains. Switch on the internal lights. Use a lens with a wide angle. Take the photo at mid-level. To protect the landlord, ask them to remove cars out of the shot. Remove family pictures and valuables. Service agreements. Letting agents offer 3 main service agreements. Tenant finder agreement for letting only. Tenant finder plus rent collection. Full management. The agreement is an important legal document that you need to keep on file to demonstrate that you met your obligations as an agent. The agreement contains the agent's responsibilities, which vary depending on the service agreement, the landlord's responsibilities, complying with legislation including the Housing Act 1988 and the Land Tenant Application Forms Lord and Tenant Act 1985. Paying the agent's fees, meeting health and safety requirements. There should be clauses in the document that the persons signing are the sole owners, have permission from the mortgage company and any leaseholder, have informed their insurance company, pay UK taxes, identify the agent of any claim arising from letting the property on behalf of the landlord, allow the agent to take their fee before transferring client monies, make the property safe and secure in an emergency if the landlord is unreachable, sign tenancy documents. Verifying ownership of the property. Legally, you must verify you have the permission of all owners of the property before renting it. If you do not meet this obligation, you will be held liable. To meet your obligation, you need to see the mortgage agreement, title deeds, entry for the property on the Land Registry website, passports, driving licenses, both parts, and a recent utility bill with the current address for all owners. Keep copies of the documents securely on file. Registering potential applicants' details. To ensure you have all the details you need to help a potential tenant, complete a database form or a physical template in the initial meeting. Capture name, contact details, ideal property including budget, location, number of rooms, number of renters, profession. If they have pets or smoke, duration of tenancy, start date, furnishings. Property software packages make data entry much easier, and many offer a tenant and property matching service. Make sure you have all the key information before organising a viewing to avoid showing a completely unsuitable property. If the property is a reasonable match, viewing is worthwhile. Viewings. Rental properties typically need fewer viewings because it's a less significant decision than buying a house. Avoid having the landlord or previous tenants show the property. You will provide a more professional service. It is usual to arrange viewings in the last 2 months of someone's tenancy. Tenants must let you enter if you give them 24 hours written notice. Try to meet their time preferences. Confirm viewings in advance to reduce no-shows. Be familiar with the layout, amenities, the landlord's requirements, costs and providers. Open all curtains and, if possible, declutter or tidy a little. Point out the property's selling points. Include photos in the adverts to reduce the chance of surprises at a viewing. Ask the viewer if they want to apply. If not, ask for feedback. Hand interested applicants the following: tenant application forms, tenancy agreement, energy performance certificate, payment details. Give the applicant time to read the details before making a deposit. Processing applications. In this section, we cover application forms, vetting tenants, guarantors, and communications. Applicants may put in an offer below the advertised rate. You are obliged to share this offer with the landlord, who may decide to take a lower rent in return for a longer let. If the offer is accepted or an applicant moves forward with the advertised rate, test their commitment by taking an application fee and a deposit. Tenant application forms. The form or forms should include holding and administration fees which are non-refundable unless the landlord pulls out. A clause to sign the tenancy agreement within 28 days of application. The tenancy is subject to satisfactory checks and payments. State the tenancy is subject to contract until the agreement is signed. A data protection statement and agreement. If you use an external referencing agency, they will provide a form to complete with the tenant's name, date of birth, employment details, addresses for the last 3 years, bank account details, and previous landlords or agents. Vetting prospective tenants. The referencing agency can supply an instant credit check to confirm if the applicant has adverse credit information. They will verify if the applicant is employed, their salary, the permanence of the position, and details from their previous tenancies. The self-employed must supply 3 years of accounts or a statement from their accountant. The agency will send you a report and recommendation. Guarantors. A guarantor gives a personal guarantee to pay the rent if the tenant defaults and be liable for any damage made to the property by the tenant. They are referenced in the same manner as a tenant and sign a form to confirm their specific obligations as guarantor. They may act on behalf of someone with bad credit, a student, the recently self-employed, etc. Communications with the landlord and applicants. Update the landlord and tenant every couple of days as you wait for references to return. Share the recommendation made by the agency with the landlord and let them make the final decision, before giving any indication to the applicants. Present the information on the tenants to the landlord in writing and ask for written approval before proceeding. Summary. In this module, you have learned: letting agents manage the relationship between landlords and tenants. They offer a range of services from letting only to full management. Landlords will ask for the agent's advice on matters such as the type of tenant to attract, the rental price, and whether to present the property with furnishings. The landlord must inform their mortgage and insurance providers that they will be letting the property. They must meet health and safety obligations. The agent must verify ownership of the property.